Hello, it's John here from Alpine Backcountry Rental in Tomamu, Hokkaido, Japan. And today I'm going to show you how we set up our marker F12 frame bindings. The marker range of alpine touring bindings are highly regarded right through Europe, and a lot of people started their alpine touring careers using this binding. It's a strong, reliable binding, and we use it on some of our backcountry ski tours here in Hokkaido, Japan. Now the binding comes in two different sizes. So what I've got here today is a small medium, and it also comes in medium large, but they both adjust exactly the same way. And they are very similar to the Roll Your Ambition frame binding in some of the things that you have to do. The first thing I want to do is get an approximate boot sole length for this binding, and it is written on the side here. And today I'm using a black diamond quadrant, and the boot sole length, this is actually a 28.5, but the boot sole length, which is what I'm interested in, it's written here in the base like all boots, and it's 320 millimeters. I'll just preset this close to that mark. Right, that's pretty close. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is to do my boot toe height. That's really critical for frame bindings. I'm just going to put that in the front there. Just have a look down here, and it's pretty tight. So there's a screw right at the front for adjusting this. So I'm just going to put that in there. And I'm just going to take that right down. Now I'm pretty comfortable that it'll go in. Boot in the binding. As with all our frame bindings, the boot sole length screw, which adjusts the length of the binding, is also the forward pressure screw. And it's really critical that the forward pressure screw is flush with the binding housing at the rear here. So let's just screw that in a little bit further. So we've got that screw flush with the housing. I haven't tested my front pressure yet, but let me just try this and see how it looks. Needs to go a little bit further. And now I'll have a look at my front pressure. Now I need to have that release plate. This friction release plate needs to be able to move. That's good, that moves, excellent. So I'll try this again. Just half a turn. Try it one more time. Screw head is flush with the housing. No movement in the toe. And the release plate is free and loose. That's really important, because if that's not free and loose, it may not release under a fall, and you may injure yourself. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The other thing we need to do is obviously the DIN setting. Wind that in and just adjust it there. And at the front, you just adjust it there. One more time and we're ready to go. So that's the setup. Very, very simple. Now finally, let me just show you how this binding works and just some cautions that come with it. So to put this binding into hiking mode, climbing mode, you need to take the boot out of the binding, which you would do anyway, getting your skins off. And there's a little lever right in the middle here. Just here. You lift that up, move it back, and we're now in climbing position. Really, really simple. Now to get into steeper terrain, we're ready to hike. We've got this lever at the back, this lever just here, and you can use your ski pole to push it down, and that gives you your first climbing level. and your second one is there, and that gives you your second climbing height. And again, same old story, the best way to climb is to use those. Now just one word of caution when you're using your climbers. You can, after a long climb, sometimes forget that they're up. And it's really important that you don't try and step into the binding with that up, because the pressure of stepping into the binding with that up can actually bend it out of shape. So just be aware of that. It's not an easy mistake to make, but it has happened. It's a good idea to make sure there's no snow, ice or snow caught up in here. Just with your gloved finger. You don't want to use your pole, your ski tip, because that can scratch it, and scratching creates ice. So never do that with any binding. Just use your gloved finger, move any snow out. I recommend holding it down with your thumb like that, lifting that lever and rolling it forward. Check it, and we're good to ski. Now the final thing is, in terms of damage to this binding, don't try and force that little plate in the middle there. It's a metal plate. Some of the earlier ones had a thin fiberglass plate. These are actually pretty strong, but you can actually bend it. So always make sure you've cleaned the snow and ice out of the rear part of the binding before you put it back into ski mode. And then when you are stepping into this binding, this metal plate on the top here is fragile. Like all bindings, you shouldn't be smashing your boot on there to get the snow off anyway. But if you do want to do that, you just need to be very gentle with it. Don't kind of bang it on there. And that is how we set up the Marker F12 Alpine Touring binding.